Hi, Clyde. How are you doing today?
I'm okay, I guess.
Since we met last, have you been experiencing any of those homicidal ideations that we discussed last time?
I have, but I try and use thought stopping when I start to feel consumed by my thoughts.
That's great, Clyde. I'm really glad you're implementing those techniques. Can you tell me a little bit more about that and how that's been going?
Well, when I'm in my cell, I find myself drowning in thoughts about my wife and my daughter. I just miss them so much that it hurts. I go from sad to angry so quickly. At the first thought of Darby, I yell in my head, "Stop," so that I can stop my thoughts from moving forward. And it's kind of helped so far.
Yeah, you experienced a really big loss. And so you are definitely working through that as best as you can. Can you tell me what you think triggered your anger and violent thoughts this week specifically?
I feel like one of the prosecutors on my case is out to get me, honestly.
I'm sorry you feel that way. What makes you think that?
Well, I feel like I've heard so many stories and have seen so many injustices within these walls while I've been here. There's nobody willing to right the wrongs in here.
Hmm. If you had your way, what would it look like for the for somebody to right the wrong that you're seeing and experiencing?
Well, for starters, our justice system would not be corrupt. Innocent people like my wife and daughter would still be alive, and murderers and those that don't punish them to the standards of the law would be held accountable instead of just getting away with everything.
Yeah, so you're feeling a lot of anger this week about those injustices.
Of course, I am. I'm always angry. He killed my wife and my daughter. All I am is angry all the time.
What's a memory that brings you joy when you think of your family?
Why are you asking me this?
I'd love to hear more if you'll allow me. I'd love to hear more about your family and the perspective from before the murders, but only if you're comfortable with sharing that with me.
Well, there was a time when my wife and I were cooking dinner in the kitchen. My daughter was sitting in the living room coloring, or I can't really remember exactly what she was doing. But when she started talking to us and we couldn't hear her, we invited her into the kitchen with us, and my wife started showing her the process of boiling pasta, which is her favorite meal. I remember my wife being in a great mood that day. We hadn't argued, there was no passive aggressive comments. We both had a good day at work. I remember thinking that day that I loved our little family and I wanted to remember that moment forever. I imagined cooking that same meal and could imagine my daughter being in the kitchen with us at different ages. We were happy. I loved my wife. Our daughter was perfect and full of joy. I was looking forward to more of those moments. Is that what you wanted?
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for sharing that special memory with me. I know that's something that you hold really dear to you. I can just tell by the way that you're sharing it. Your family, they meant a lot to you.
Yes, they did.
And from your story and from the reality that they are no longer with us, is you feel that that dream that you had of experiencing that moment in the kitchen with your family regularly over the years, that was robbed from you.
Absolutely. That's why I have to do what I have to do to right the wrong so that other families don't have to experience the same thing. They don't have to experience this pain, the loss, the anger. I just want justice.
Yeah. Let's go back to the thought stopping technique we've been trying to practice that we were discussing at the start of our time together. Remember that after you visualize or you think the word stop, you have to analyze those violent thoughts and reroute them. What's something that you could use to reroute those violent thoughts that you've been experiencing while in your cell?
I guess I could think about this moment with my family.
I think that's a really good memory to hold on to. How do you think continuing to practice that thought stopping technique might impact the anger that you're feeling?
It'll force me to refocus. Sometimes when I get angry and feel overwhelmed with grief, all I see is red. It seems impossible to focus on anything but the murder plan, since I can only think about my wife and daughter when I'm awake, when I'm asleep, day, night. They're all I think about.
You've been doing a really good job at implementing this technique that we've discussed and been working towards those goals that we've set really well.
Let's try another one of those techniques next time, yeah?
I think that's a great idea. I'd actually like to work on one of our other goals next week, if that's okay with you.
Sure. Why not? I think I'm okay with that.
So maybe next time we can focus on trying to retell the story of the night that you lost your family. I know that might be difficult, but I wanted to let you know ahead of time so that you're not thrown off the next time we meet.
If you think it'll help, I'll try it. I'll do anything to share the story of my little girl. I look forward to it, and I'll see you next week.
See you next week, Clyde.